What happens when a secret is allowed to fester in a relationship? When we sweep the truth under a rug of politeness or hide behind a handshake? King David said it so well, Ki hecharashti balu atzamai, when I kept silent, my bones wasted away. Chatati odiacha vavoni lo kisiti. I acknowledged my sin to you and did not cover up my iniquity, and you forgave the guilt of my sin. That's Tehillim, Psalms chapter 32, and this is Torah in 7. I'm Bela Olidort. We are now in Parshat Nasso, where the Israelites are living shoulder to shoulder. Tents are almost touching, and there is no real privacy. And in that kind of closeness, a fracture between two people doesn't stay between two people. It lingers in the space between them and in the way they look at one another. We know that tension where no one names what's wrong. But do they need to? Well, just because a betrayal is not spoken doesn't make it disappear. Parshat Nasso reads in part like a survival guide for a fragile society, for any society, really. It opens with a case of financial betrayal, followed by a cover-up. The Parsha says, when a man or woman has committed any wrong toward a fellow human being, and this, Rashi tells us, refers to a financial crime, someone robs another or withholds what is owed, and then lies about it under oath. If they're caught through evidence or witnesses, they're forced to repay what they took, the principal amount. That's kind of obvious. But what happens if the thief's conscience stirs and they choose to confess? The Torah's resolution here is fascinating. The admission changes everything, and now the penalty actually increases. Just so that it's clear, let me repeat this. If the thief denies their crime, they swear they didn't steal, but they're caught by outside evidence, they repay only the principal. But if their conscience bothers them and they step forward to own the lie, they must repay the principal plus an additional 25% and bring a sacrifice. On the face of it, it seems counterintuitive. In most civil law, an admission of guilt usually earns you a lighter sentence. Why should the Torah make it more expensive to tell the truth? So let's imagine the scenario. Someone causes you a financial loss. They never admit it. But then you find an envelope under your door with the exact amount that was stolen from you. There's no note, there's no explanation. So the loss was covered, but without an admission, the betrayal hasn't been addressed. The return balances the accounts, but the lie remains in the shadows. In modern law, this would be something like the legal maneuver known as no admission of guilt. It emerged from common law for the purpose of efficient resolution, not moral acknowledgement. It's there to allow cases to be settled, damages to be paid, and the matter to be closed without anyone ever saying, I did this. The dispute is resolved, but something essential remains unaddressed. It reminds me of the novel A Separate Peace by John Knowles about two boys, Gene and Finney, who are bound by an intense friendship. In a moment of jealousy, Gene shakes the branch of a tree while Finney is climbing it, causing him to fall and shatter his leg, ending his friend's athletic future forever. Gene never admits what he did. He lives alongside Finney, he even becomes his caretaker, but he never brings the truth into the open. Gene's secret acts like slow-moving acid that eats at the foundation of their friendship. And the Torah refuses that kind of resolution. It's looking for a wholesome restoration, not just a legal settlement. It wants the person who violated the relationship to acknowledge it, to face the other and say, I did this. V'hitvadu et chatatam asher asu. They should confess the sin they committed. It's that articulation, that recognition, that repairs a broken trust. And like any full repair, it costs more. The person who wants it will pay more to achieve it than the one who is fine with only a patch job. The Parsha then extends this meditation of broken trust between friends or neighbors into the most intimate unit of all, the marriage. It introduces the sota, the ordeal of a relationship shaken by suspicion. A marriage can survive many things, but it can survive a secret that has become more present than the partners themselves. So the Torah forces the hidden tension out of the bedroom and into the open courtyard, because when something fractures within a relationship and is not honestly faced, the relationship itself begins to unravel. Then the Parsha turns to the Nazir, the person who takes a vow of abstinence. And this is perhaps the most profound level of the Parsha's meditation on secrecy or denial, because here the other is the self. The Nazir is someone who realizes and admits that they cannot even trust their own impulses. So they step back from the ordinary flow of life, not to escape the world, but to stop the cycle of indulgence. All three crises, the financial betrayal, the broken marriage, and the internal struggle of the Nazir, demand the same thing: a willingness to admit, whether to another or to the self, that a boundary has been crossed. Today we see this playing out in our headlines and our boardrooms. For decades, our institutions have relied on the silent settlement, the massive fine paid with no admission of guilt. But that's changing now with the new whistleblower laws and the rolling back of NDAs that underscore the Torah's logic that a check without a confession isn't a repair. It's just an expensive way to stay in the dark. True restoration requires more than a balanced ledger. It requires the courage to name the fracture. And the same, of course, is true of our own relationships with friends and spouses and with ourselves. Peace is not the absence of fracture. It's the willingness to face the fracture, speak it, own it, and repair it. It's what makes forgiveness between family and friends possible. And only after these laws of repair does the Parsha reach its climax, the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. One of those lines of the blessing is, "May God shine his face toward you and be gracious to you." Ya'er Hashem panav elecha. Shining a face is a biblical metaphor for transparency. It's the opposite of the envelope under the door, the secret kept from oneself. It's what King David was reaching for when he finally said, "I acknowledged my sin to you and did not cover up my iniquity, and you forgave." That's Torah in 7 for Parshat Nasso. If you'd like to go deeper, there's a companion study guide with sources and questions for further learning at torahin7.substack.com. And if you'd like to dedicate an episode in honor or memory of someone, you can do that too at torahin7.substack.com. Until next time, I'm Bela Olidort. Shabbat Shalom.